Hey, happy weekend, everyone. Joshua Nagelberg, meteorologist with Carolina Weather Authority. And in the Carolinas, kind of a cloudy, somewhat cooler, but still pretty muggy weekend. Unfortunately, we just can't shake this humidity. But we're not going to complain at this point because the tropics are extremely busy, and right now we're kind of getting fortunate not to have anything in our backyard, at least for the next week or so, it looks like, in the Carolinas. But we've got a lot going on in the tropics. Two storms threatening landfall as hurricanes early next week, once again, one in the U.S. and the other across Bermuda. So we're going to talk about both of those. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want more videos and up-to-date live streams, as we are expecting to do some of those as storms make landfall. But things have just been pretty crazy here. This is our list of cyclone names, and we now have added Sally to the list. So we're now 18 storms into the season. An average season has 12 or 13. We're now at 18, and possibility of two more in the next couple of days. So we may be ending up in the Greek letters before the end of September. Just 2020 continues to be extremely active, extremely bizarre, and just off the charts here. So you can see the storms in yellow have reached hurricane status. We're predicting two more are going to get there, Paulette and Sally, in the next couple of days. So that would put us at 6 hurricanes that have not been major, and then one major hurricane, Laura. That would be seven hurricanes, one major, and perhaps a chance that Paulette and Sally may get close to that. So we'll have to take a look at that as well in the next couple of days. The one pattern we've seen this hurricane season is that these storms have become hurricanes as they've been coming into land. Isaias in North Carolina, Hannah in South Texas, Nana in Belize. Laura became one and then became a major hurricane right up to landfall in southwest Louisiana. The only one that didn't make it was Marco, and that's only because Laura was there producing wind shear over Marco. And Marco did scare Louisiana for a little bit as a hurricane warning was out, but things just quickly fell apart there. Unfortunately, the pattern doesn't look to repeat itself with Sally, which could be a threat to the central Gulf Coast, and also Paulette, which is nearing hurricane strength and threatening Bermuda early next week. Here's our conglomerate of storms here. Newly upgraded Sally. Here's Paulette closing in on hurricane intensity. Renee falling apart, getting sheared by Paulette, and that's a depression and should be off the map soon. This one, though, could be a depression by the end of the weekend, and the next on the list is Teddy. The one behind it could be Vicky, although both of these are still way out, so not a threat at this point, but something we'll have to watch. And then beyond that, still something in the Gulf of Mexico, which could be a threat to Mexico or even South Texas later next week, as it's going to kind of sit down here and get into a weaker steering environment. So we could have Wilfred in the Gulf by the end of next week. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, so let's take a look real quick at the satellite image, and you can see Sally on the map here, Paulette here. These two waves looking vigorous, and at any point could become depressions and storms in the next, we think, maybe 2 to 4 days. Renee on the way out. Nothing else in the Caribbean or the Gulf to be concerned with, but we are watching this area for some gradual development later on next week as it drifts southwest towards Mexico into the southwestern Gulf. Here's a look at Sally. It's starting to get that look where it's growing in size, producing a ton of rain and feeding in off of very warm water over the Florida Keys, the Florida Straits, and just east of Florida here as well. And as it goes to the northwest over the eastern Gulf, it's got a lot of fuel to intensify. Wind shear right now is affecting the storm, but as it grows, it should start to counter that shear and get larger and could produce a bigger area of showers and storms, which is going to be a bigger problem down the road over the northern Gulf. Here's the official Hurricane Center forecast, and it is showing intensification right up to landfall Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, and a slowing trend. This is a 24-hour forecast from just off of Breton Sound to eastern parts of St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, and then weakening, and then a depression over south central Mississippi on Thursday. So the one thing I'm concerned about with this system is, unlike Laura, it's actually going to be slowing down quite a bit in a weaker steering environment. This could end up being a significant flood event for the Gulf Coast states, especially western parts of Florida and Alabama, but maybe Mississippi and far eastern Louisiana as well. The eastern side of the storm is going to have all the rain with it, so if this track shifts west, it's a bigger problem for New Orleans, but right now it's looking worse for Mississippi and Alabama, as well as the western Florida panhandle when it comes to rain. Storm surge also looks like it could be an issue. We'll likely have hurricane watches and storm surge watches anywhere from the mouth of the Mississippi up to maybe Lake Pontchartrain, but certainly Lake Bourne, and across the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Mobile Bay, it looks like Pensacola area, all the way perhaps down to Panama City, are all under the gun from this storm, as it is expected to grow and take a track somewhere between Katrina and George, if you can remember those two storms in Louisiana, Mississippi. Model guidance, though, on the other hand, a lot of the global models are leaning more to the right of the hurricane center track and have more of a Mississippi, Alabama, or even western Florida hit. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, but after landfall, things slow down quite a bit at 96 hours and 120, and eventually maybe a right turn through Georgia and South Carolina. So here in the Carolinas, we do need to watch to see where this ends up going. It's going to be beautiful here in the upcoming start of the new week, especially Tuesday and Wednesday, but after that, things could quickly cloud up and we could have a cool, heavy rainfall to deal with if this track ends up panning out, which it may not. It may just get to a point where it falls apart here or stalls near the Gulf, which is going to be a major problem here. So that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but something that I'm definitely watching for you guys. I think you need to be concerned with, and that's freshwater flooding. Here's the intensity forecast, and a lot of models take this to Category 1 intensity. However, the HWRF, which did a pretty good job picking up on Laura, shows this storm intensifying quickly tomorrow night and Monday and getting up to Category 3 intensity before making landfall. Of course, we don't want that to happen. Another major hurricane hitting the U.S. would be just a nightmare, but fortunately it's going to stay east of where Laura did. We're just hoping it stays east of Louisiana. Of course, we're not hoping on anyone, but the state of Louisiana needs some time to heal, and unfortunately this one looks like it could at least threaten far eastern Louisiana. Look at the HWRF shows the intensification we're talking about. This is tomorrow, stronger tropical storm, and then tomorrow night intensifying into a hurricane south of the Florida Panhandle. The warm waters over here and lighter wind shear certainly set that favorability for intensification. This could be on the extremely high side, but something that I'm definitely concerned with. And then we're looking at a 951 millibar Category 3 hurricane hitting the Chandeleur Islands and going up into Breton Sound Monday afternoon and evening, with a landfall finally weakening to Category 1 strength near Slidell, Louisiana, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and then a storm that is stalling very quick, very slowly. It is going to be moving northward and perhaps northeastward into Mississippi Tuesday afternoon and night, if the HWRF is right. But I don't like how slowly this thing is drifting, because this area is going to get a lot of rain if that's the case. Our forecast track is not quite as extreme as the HWRF. We're going Category 2 right now, landfall close to the mouth of the Pearl River. Actually, maybe two landfalls, one near the mouth of the Mississippi and over the Chandeleur Islands. And then final landfall is going to be pretty close to Slidell or past Christiana, Mississippi. And then things slow down quite a bit, so a lot of rain possible in Mississippi, Alabama, and western Florida. We're going to take a look at the HWRF model, and you can see it's got that look to it, which concerns us quite a bit. Not as big a storm as Laura, but definitely a storm that can get close to that, and of course cause lots of problems, as this area is very vulnerable to storm surge to north and east of the center. So the Mississippi Gulf Coast could be in for a doozy here. Louisiana as well could be as well. And another thing I wanted to show you guys real quick was the amount of rain. The radar here shows some extreme amounts of rain with tornadoes possible and supercells possible coming in Monday night under the cover of darkness across Alabama, Mississippi, and maybe western Florida. Some areas could pick up over a foot of rain. We're already seeing that on the Key West radar. This is Key West here. And a disorganized storm producing 11.9 inches near Isla Morada in the middle Keys, and the upper Keys starting to get some heavier rain as well. All this heavy rainfall is going to be tracking on the eastern side of this storm. So we've got a big issue potentially down the road across Louisiana and especially Mississippi and Alabama. All right, next we've got to get over to Paulette, and this storm has a strong likelihood of recurving well east of the U.S., so shouldn't be anything more than a surf maker for us. But unfortunately, the Hurricane Center now has a track very close to or just east of Bermuda Monday morning. Hurricane warning is in effect. Now, the island of Bermuda is tiny. You've got this massive body of water, and now you're seeing a hurricane targeting a very small spot like Bermuda. Here's the scary thing. I'm going to show you what we saw last year around this time, and that was Category 3 Hurricane Humberto. September 18th came just north of Bermuda and produced 100 to 120 mile per hour wind gusts on the island. This is a radar image from the 18th last year. This is Bermuda. Let me blow this up for you a little bit so you can see it better. This is the eye wall, which came right over the western part of the island with 100 to 120 mile per hour winds. This storm likely to be at least a Category 2 when it comes by Bermuda, and maybe could be a 3 after it passes. So it could be almost as strong as Humberto last year, and the HWRF from weathermodels.com shows the storm's eye wall. Look at this. This is 5 a.m. in the morning on Monday, and this is the eye wall going right over the island, actually just west of the island. If this is any farther east, they're getting 100-mile-per-hour winds on the island of Bermuda. Just remarkable to see two intense hurricanes like this potentially flatten an island so little on such a big map. So that's definitely something we're watching, and it looks like it actually could be stronger when it moves away in 72 hours, getting up to maybe Category 3 or 4 strength here as it recurves. But not an issue for the U.S. other than high surf. Next we'll look at this disturbance that we've been watching. Right now the models are now making a right shift, which is great news for us in the southeast. A couple days ago it was showing the Florida, Carolinas threat. Now it's not. But some of the European model ensembles still show something that we have to be concerned with down the road, because some of those models do try to bend it back to the west here. And I will show you that as well. I think I had it real quick. The global ensembles. And we don't have the 12Z in just yet as of this video, so we'll look at the 0Z. Do show, for the most part now, this system likely turning east of the islands, but potentially a few tracks still going there. We've got something to watch, of course, in the Western Gulf. We may have something else coming by into the Caribbean and coming northward. But this is what we like to see in the Carolinas, at least for now. Nothing of immediate threat to us, but down the road, certainly we've got that concern. So, let me catch my breath because we've gone almost 12 minutes here. Lots to talk about. But right now, I think the main thing we got to be concerned with are two storms that are strengthening and likely to hit land Monday into Tuesday as hurricanes. Perhaps as Category 2s, maybe even Category 3 would be kind of the high end of things. And the scary part is there's plenty more behind what we've got here. GFS shows several more storms coming across. Maybe this front that comes by next week has to sit out over the southeast, and we're definitely not done in the Carolinas or the East Coast at this point. October could still be busy, as it was back in 2016 with Matthew and 1954 with Hazel. Not saying we're going to have a repeat of that, but telling you that that possibility is still there, especially with as many storms as we've seen come off of Africa that develop closer to land. All right, lots to talk about in the coming days, but please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll keep you guys posted on the latest, and have a safe, wonderful weekend. God bless.